Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Cryptid Warfare. Super stoked you're here. It's your boy Z, baby.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Drewski. Guys, we have a good show today.
Good show.
We're actually not recording at night, thank God. We're actually recording during the
Yes,
day.
the
So
sun time feels good.
this is a new thing. Yeah. So, anyways, guys, we have a special guest on. Her name is Jillian
Gillian.
Stone. Not Gillian, y'all. Jillian Stone, guys. Hey guys, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a prequel on this wonderful lady. Okay, first of all, congratulations on the baby.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys. Here's a little short bio on her. Okay, here we go. All right, she is a former politician influencer. She's a present Jesus follower. Amen to that. She bases her content around biblical theory, mythology, and conspiracy theories. Her goals are to bring people closer to Jesus by showing inconsistencies and darkness in the world, in the order to give people one constant light of the Lord Jesus Christ, our God. And she's also a Bigfoot fan, so awesome to that. And also, congratulations on the Rooted conference. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. I'm so excited. It's gonna be so fun
to be on the panel. So
I
your
know.
mom is gonna go hang out, and you're like, Mom, by the way,
because I'd like to be able to put that in the show notes.
I know. I'm so excited.
Seriously, yeah. So, but yeah, definitely, Zuck's gonna put that in the show notes as well. That way, people can plug it in and find you and all that stuff too. So, all right, dude, awesome. let's get into it. Let's start. All right. Let's start from the beginning on the former politician influencer. So let's go for it. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot more that even like we didn't discuss even earlier. So when I was around 18, that was when, oh gosh, I'm 20. So 3 years ago, 2020. So I had just graduated from high school and BLM and COVID had just started. It was all like this crazy surge. And I had, started sharing my political views, just lightly. So there was a specific point, and I've been fired from multiple jobs for my beliefs. And this was the first
club.
Yes, this was the first time that I was fired from my political belief at 18. And it was so simple too. I had literally just shared a story post on my conservative values at the time. So I said, I'm a conservative. I believe that Jesus is king. I believe that Hillary Clinton is a deep swamp rat. Just like
come on,
so
keep going.
Come on.
I said I was pro-life, and I said that I was anti-LGBTQ. And so I think that was like the number one thing that like really like set me up for, not failure, but I was in the line of fire at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And also saying that I was pro-life. So it was just a story post, and I just listed, my conservative values, didn't go into depth at all. So there was this girl, and she was a very popular girl at my school, and she decided that she would, try to bop me upside the head and share this story post to my work. And my work, I thought, was a Christian-owned pro-life clinic. And I'm not going to say the name because it's in the past. But they were a conservative clinic for women that also was a restaurant on the side. So they basically helped women who got pregnant unexpectedly bring their babies full term, choose life, and give them everything they need. So like diapers, formula, breast pumps, stuff like that. So they would go in and help them for free, these women. And so they also owned a restaurant, like I said before, and I worked the coffee stand in that restaurant. So when they saw this stuff being, like shared to them, and this girl had gotten like maybe 7 or 8 other girls to send in like bad reviews on me specifically, even though it had nothing to do with my work. It had everything to do with my values and my beliefs. So they started spamming this business, and they ended up asking me to resign. I had no idea what my rights were at the time. So I felt like I was totally hit. and I ended up resigning. So that's on paper. I couldn't go, really legally about it because on paper it says I did end up resigning when they asked me to instead of being fired. Yeah. So after that experience, I felt in my heart that God was starting to tell me that I was meant to do something more with my life than just, work a 9-to-5 job. And so at that point, I was still listening to what my heart wanted. And immediately I was like, I want to be the next press secretary. I want to be the next Kayleigh McEnany. And I want to start pursuing politics. So little did I know that would lead me down, a pretty dark path where I started becoming super selfish, super cold-hearted. I ended up becoming incredibly mean, very cold-hearted. And I, became very successful though. Over the next year, I had, gotten multiple awards in my Republican, my local Republican Party, was speaking at multiple conferences, ended up becoming a chapter leader for a very brief time before, I was canceled as a Turning Point chapter leader, was a PragerU influencer, was a just, an upcoming, I was hoping a political candidate one day. I was hoping to end up running for Congress one day. Yeah. And so fast forward a year and a half. Oh, go ahead.
We sure could have used you in Congress, just saying. Anyways, go ahead.
I don't know if they would have elected me because elections are fake, but
come on, yes, seriously,
it would have just, the cards probably would not have been in my hand. Yeah, but
I agree.
Fast forward about a year and a half down the line, and I was a journalist major at Palm Beach Atlantic University, and I was just starting to work for an influencer, Benny Johnson. And I was working maybe 12, 14 hours a day for him. It was a very, very demanding job, but I was so anxious to just do anything that I could for him because he had implied one day he had had me take a tour with him of Newsmax, of his studio where he had his show. Oh, and nice. He said, well, I had offered him, or I had asked him for a job. I had gone up and directly said, I want to work for you, and I will do anything to work with you and just have you become my mentor. So I started out, running his social media, and he had implied during that tour, maybe this could be your studio one day. So I was like, oh my gosh, he just said, maybe this will be me. Mm-hmm. Maybe this will be me one day. So I was totally determined to do everything that I could. I'd worked for him for 2 months. September 11th came, 9/11 came, and I have always believed that 9/11 was a complete psyop. Even before I joined the Truther movement, I know about, I think it's Building 7, right? And I knew about, I knew that there were explosions. I knew that there was no plane that hit the Pentagon. I knew that it was, all planned basically to put cash in the Bush's pocket.
And the budget that supposedly disappeared.
Yes. And then also found out later Bush's ties to Hitler and how they funded Nazi Germany, basically. But anyways, I had posted, not knowing that Benny Johnson was on the Bush campaign. He was a Bush campaign member. I posted this unknowingly that 9/11 was a psyop on the day of 9/11. So I posted that. I get a call from the CEO of the company of this political platform, which has now gone under, called Arsenal Media Group. So I get a call from the CEO, and he goes, Benny wants you off his team. We're going to move you into the regular company now. So I was completely dropped by Benny. He didn't say a single thing to me. Even though I had met him in person, I had hung out with him. I had briefly watched his daughter for a second, his toddler daughter at the time. And so I was like, and he even like said, okay, maybe this will be you one day, like touring like his whole studio. So I thought that I was like getting pretty close with this guy, and no commentary for him. Still have not spoken to him to this day. He just dropped me from his team. So I was pretty devastated. But then I was like, okay, well, this company still works with A-list politicians, so maybe I'll have a spot there. So I get to the point where I rise up pretty quickly. I went from just a social media like creator basically for them. I made content for all of their politicians and whatnot. Went from that to a production assistant within like 2 months. And so then I had worked for them for about 4 months, and I was like, okay, well, this is really getting good for me. Then Afghanistan hit, and I had made a live stream video basically saying that I was really frustrated that 150,000 unvetted Afghanistan citizens came into our country with, no repercussions, basically. They were just, allowed to come into our country. And we left 50,000 American soldiers and translators and their families and everything. So like the people who translate for the United States government in those countries, the things that happen to them if they are found are horrendous. It is absolutely terrible what the Taliban does to people who help us out, and it's heartbreaking what they've done. Not only that, but the persecution of Christians is incredibly heartbreaking as well. So I was basically on this live stream talking about the way that I felt about this situation. And as soon as I got on the topic of illegal immigrants, a woman, Kellyanne Conway, her daughter, Claudia Conway, had joined my live stream. So a little bit about Kellyanne Conway's daughter, Claudia. Claudia had gotten her mother fired from the Trump campaign because she had leaked a video of Kellyanne saying, basically speaking in jest, that her job was very stressful, that she was feeling overwhelmed, that she felt like she couldn't do it anymore. And this was in jest. And everybody has those times, like especially working a job that like you feel like giving up, because it's hard. It's hard going to work every day, especially being the number one person who I believe got Donald Trump to win his presidency. Basically, she was the mastermind behind the marketing, everything. She was the one who helped Donald Trump win in 2016. So Kellyanne Conway had to resign because Claudia had leaked that video. Claudia is a flaming lib, so she did not like her mother at all. So she wanted to essentially destroy her own mother's life. Like, who does that? And gets her fired from this campaign.
Evil.
So Claudia joins my live stream. Claudia has around like 4 million followers, like across all platforms. And as soon as I got on the topic of illegal immigrants, she decided to start screen recording. So I had said
that
verbatim,
chick is a troll master. Jesus.
I know.
Yeah.
Exactly. She got her own mother, who was like one of the most she was the person that got Trump elected. Like she was very high up in the Trump administration. She got her fired. So it was only a matter. It was only this is she just did exactly to me what she did to her mother. She screen recorded me saying, I don't want to one day be in a mall going shopping and living about my life and have the entire mall blown up because we didn't vet these immigrants. And so I was, specifically talking about the Taliban, but earlier on in the live stream, I had also said that I was anti-Islam, that I did not believe that Islam was a good religion. I believe that it was inherently evil, and that nobody should be a part of this essentially cult. And so that was also screen recorded later on down the line. I had no idea. But this video in particular, when I was talking about being in the mall and having it blown up, she had gone in after she had screen recorded it and chopped it up to make it look like I was saying that I wanted to blow up Muslims, and that I wanted, specifically Muslims, even though I had been talking about the Taliban the entire live stream. She was just talking about Muslims, or she made it seem like I was just talking about Muslims in general. So that was immediately posted on her page. It got like, I think, over 2 million views. So these people who were trolls of hers found my job, found my college, found my family, found my husband's family, etc. Started, totally spamming, giving me death threats, giving my family death threats, contacting my father's work, spamming them, spamming my husband's family, spamming my work, spamming every single political organization that I was a part of. So then it ended up, I was fired from my job. I was completely let go, blackballed by every single political organization that I was a part of. I was practically expelled from my college. I was only allowed back in unless I had been willing to write a 25-page diversity and inclusion essay. That would basically be my golden ticket back into the journalism program at the school. And I was like, heck no, I'm not doing that. So essentially, and then my parents were just, they were disappointed in me for talking about the subject. So for me, I'm a humongous family gal. My family is everything to me. Their approval is everything to me as well. And so having my family also kind of be against me at that time, while the entire internet was just sending me death threats, it sent me into a crazy spiral. And I had attempted to take my life. And I was escorted from my college campus after, basically trying to commit suicide. I was taken by police officers in the back of their car. I was taken to a hospital, and there I stayed for 2 days until I was, deemed sane and I wasn't a threat to myself. And I get back, and I had 3 days of complete silence. I didn't speak for 3 days straight. And on the third day, I finally spoke to my mom, and she was just begging me to say something, begging me to eat something, begging me to do something. And I just told her, I don't know what else to do. I don't know what to do. My life is ruined. I can no longer get a normal job. I can no longer have the life that I wanted to in politics. I am completely canceled. And I essentially my life is over. And the workforce is such a toxic place now. If you say anything, do anything, people find out about it, you're blackballed. And that's it. So from that moment on, I was kind of just, I had found safety in a woman that I actually was able to be taken under her wing a little bit. And her name is Abby Johnson, and she is a pro-life advocate. The movie Unplanned was made about her and her story. So she was a friend.
That was a good story.
She was a friend of mine through working for her company. And actually, Arsenal had dropped her and stopped making her money because they thought that she wasn't exciting enough. And I was the only one who was trying my hardest to help her and help her team until they ultimately dropped her. And so I had reached out to her because I had her phone number. And I was like, look, this is what happened. I don't know what else to do. Is there any possibility that you would be willing to give me a job with you? And she did. So I worked with her for a couple months until, unfortunately, her platform was demonetized. And so then there was no more money. But at that point, I was able to start, figuring out stuff on my own. And I ended up interviewing for a job with the alt-right community. I was reached out to by Lauren Witzke, one of the journalists there. And so I went that day. I drove 2 hours from my house to Vero Beach, but back then I had lived in Boca Raton, Florida. And I was at that point driving 2 or 3 times a week, 2 hours to and from Boca to Vero. And this went on for like a couple months until they decided to bring me on full time. And me and my husband had gotten married that April. So from February to April, I was driving to and from work 2-3 times a week, 2 hours from my house to go work there. And so they had put me on their little news network, Crosstalk News. And there I was really excited because I was starting to do journalism again. And the pressure from them being a mostly Catholic organization had ended up, leaving stress on me because I was not Catholic. I had very different views. And it had ended up becoming more of what I felt to be a toxic work environment. And I felt like I was kind of, every single day I would come to work, I felt like my beliefs were kind of and also me being a woman, because that whole entire group is like essentially anti-woman. From me being a woman and me being a Christian and not a Catholic, it set me apart and kind of sent them, aiming at me like I was a target. So they would, discredit my beliefs, and also starting to become more awake in this movement, in the truther movement. Like one of the first things, for instance, was the flat earth. And so the Catholics do not believe in the flat earth, and neither do most of the people that work there. So for me, talking about the flat earth and also talking about like color symbolism, MK Ultra, they thought that I was essentially a crazy, crazy Protestant white woman who just is no one to take seriously. So I was eventually put at the back of the office, and there I stayed until we parted ways. And the next day that after I parted ways from that job, I found out that I was pregnant. And from that moment on, God really took me, kind of by the shoulders and was kind of shaking me, I felt. And he was like, you're going to stop doing what you want to do for once in your life, and you're going to do what I want to do. And at that point I was like, you know what? Okay, I'll give it up. So
Okay, I got it.
I'm like, I
guess, God. Okay.
I know. It was like, okay, everything else has gone like, it was hysterical, my life at that point. Like just the journey that I had gone. I'm like, you know what? I could, use some of your help here. And so I'll let down my pride, and, we'll see where you take me.
Yeah.
So at that point I had only had like maybe 7,000 followers. I had grown at that point from like the time of 6,000 followers to around 7,000 because of the political stuff that I was posting, but that wasn't really getting anywhere. Then I had made my first video on, I think it was MK Ultra. Yeah. And I was talking about MK Ultra, and then that had gotten like maybe 250,000 views, and I started, growing from there. So I was like, okay, this is a little strange here. I've never experienced this. And it was only because like I had started, reading my Bible daily. And I was, at this point, listening to what God was saying. And all of my content, by the way, is completely prayed over. And I literally will refuse to post until I see something and feel God telling me to speak on it. So I will go like weeks at a time sometimes without posting anything. And it will stay that way until I feel like God is telling me to post something. So one of the first things that God was telling me to post about first was my research on MK Ultra. So as soon as I had started listening to God and what he was telling me to post about, my content started skyrocketing. And so I was like, you know what? I just need to keep on this path. Like I need to keep, doing what he is wanting me to do, because I am seeing success when I'm listening to him. So I started posting more. It was basically spirit led at this point. Like my content still is spirit led. I was basically, praying at my computer, asking God, what do I research first, God? Like, what do you want me to research first? What do you want me to talk about next? And then, like, the snap of the fingers, an idea would come to me, and I'd start posting about that. And I'd start, like, diving into my research and asking God, okay, let my research be accurate. Please help me find what you want me to say, what you want me to specifically find to talk about. And every single day I would open up my Bible and say, please, God, help me learn something new that I didn't know before. And so this has been, the trend for the past 10 months of doing this, where I have asked God every single day to lead me down a path that is just, that is righteous, and that is glorifying to him. And I've seen, the fruit of that, and it's led me, to being on the podcast today with you guys and kind of just enjoying the ride of becoming, a part of this, I guess you could say, truther movement, and
Most definitely.
Really opening myself up to God's truth instead of what I believe to be my truth or political truth or what pop culture says is the truth. And now I'm focused on only putting my hunger for truth down the path that is God's truth, essentially.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's good.
That's
okay. Yeah. Just
that's the whole thing.
This is freaking good. Okay. Oh, this is good stuff. Okay, I'm definitely gonna hook you up. Okay, I'm hook you up with two guys. Okay, one of them he's a good friend of mine, Josh Monday. He's a big time flat earther, big time, and he goes about it biblically and.
He's on a November podcast.
And then after you read the book, and then after you read the book, I'm gonna hook you up with Gary
Wayne.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, that'd be so fun. I would love to totally have a conversation with him and just pick his brain, because I've already I haven't read the book, but I definitely believe everything that the book says. I just can't wait to dive deeper. Am I frozen?
No.
Oh, okay.
It happens sometimes with our connections. I guess you just have the best connection. But it's interesting because whenever we talked to Gary, I forgot what it was, maybe March. Yeah, he was coming out with a new book that it'll be a little different because it's only focused toward Buddha mouth. It's focused toward grounding Christians in their faith. But it still tackles the same concepts and stuff. But I'm really excited for it. But I think it's already out. But it would be cool too. So whenever you do have the privilege to talk to him, now you'll have that as another reference. Hopefully it won't be as dense, but it might be. Because his book took me a long time to get through, but I'm a really slow reader.
I'm a slow reader too. So I'm also a note taker. So it takes me probably even longer than you.
Oh, yeah. That's why it's so hard for me. I like to listen to audiobooks. And then I just try to take mental notes sometimes. But yeah, I do take massive notes. I had to take a step back after having 2 kids. I'm crazy how much time that takes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was funny though, because Zook actually let me borrow that book. How long was it before we had to interview him? 2 months or something like that, a month and a half.
Well, I think we knew about 2 months, but I said, "Oh yeah, have the book." Probably a month before that.
So the whole time I was literally just crushing that book. Plus,
I don't know how he did it.
Yeah,
he has 13 kids, and he has a job where he works all the time.
Yeah, I know. I'm such a beaner. 13 kids. No, I'm joking. I actually have 3 kids. I got a teenager, a preteen, and a 2-year-old. So
oh my gosh,
all
you
stages
have a teenager?
Of life.
Oh my gosh, I literally thought you were in your late 20s, maybe.
Oh, I appreciate it. I'm almost 40.
Dude,
so
I know. Doesn't he look delicious? No, it's so
I'm astonished. That's so cool.
Oh, cool. I feel good now. Right on. Appreciate it.
And I'm the old guy. Yes.
I know. So, yeah. Other than that, yeah. So yeah. Other than that, I totally crushed that book, and then by the time we interviewed Gary, I was just
Dude, it's so wild, and then how he traces it all back, because it goes to I think Hercules and Atlantis.
Yes.
And whenever you do listen to Michael Heiser's stuff, he will make light touches on that, but he knows how much time it would take. I'm sure there's more audio or maybe even video of him actually covering those big topics. But it's crazy how it really makes you think about really diving deep into scriptures.
It does, man.
man, I'm
Well,
like, dude,
yeah. Well, basically, with all this stuff that's going on throughout the world right now, with the wars, rumors of wars, and all that, and then all these catastrophes, like God's really trying to wake up a lot of people here. And just going through my notes and stuff in my Bible and whatnot, just the whole end times thing, you know, it reminds me of like Ezekiel 38, 39, Isaiah 17, Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21, Revelation 6 through 20, and 2 Timothy 3. That 2 Timothy 3 really blows my mind up because it's what is exactly going on right now in America, in our society right now. Just totally blows my mind. It's like, oh my gosh, dude. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
Too, like when you ever like what Corey says at church, you know, whenever you look at the Roman culture, we're not too far behind that, but it's weird because we see a lot of stuff that happened just before the fall of Rome and stuff, and they started focusing more on, I guess, identity and all this other things.
Self, the art, basically the art of self, like the number one rule to Satanism, right? Do what thy will. You know, lesser morality and all that stuff. So,
but people have woken up since COVID, or people woke up.
Yeah.
But it's so weird. You still have those ones that hold on to I guess their identity of what truth is, and it's like, but there's so much evidence. Like, and there is this geologist. His name is John Mackay, but his last name is spelled Key. It's one of those tricky names, like Gillian, Farah. That was such a fun episode with Farah. He said, anyway, she's like, it's Farah. But man, like at his he came to speak at about, I was going to say convention or conference, but it was like a Bible study, a college Bible study he came to. It was really cool. It's from Australia. But he's proven that there is a global flood that's been all around the world, even in other, quote, religions out there. Like, they do reference like a massive global flood. But he shows you all this evidence and stuff of it. And he's caused, not intentionally, but he's changed the beliefs of a lot of these geologists and even, what's the other word? Archaeologists and things like that. And they, and whenever they're the big heads or whatever, the universities that were funding them found out, like they fired those people. And they were like really good, like at their jobs. But he said he went to a site once and he was talking to some archaeologists. And there was actual evidence of dinosaurs being as old as humans. Like there were side by side footprints. But this one geologist, archaeologist, he's like, no, I'm not going to look. He willingly, like, the evidence was all there. And they even found like sandals and all sorts of stuff, all sorts of things. And then there's, even in America, it's crazy. If you were to look up Fred the dinosaur, I don't know why they named him Fred. I guess it was a popular guy. Maybe the guy's name.
I'm guessing Fred Flintstone. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, I never thought about that. But it's weird. Like, they actually found DNA in the bone. And I'm like, and there's no way a bone can be millions of years old at all. Like, dinosaurs are 100% not as old as we were told. And when you look into some of them, I think it was the Bronchiosaur. I could be wrong, but I know it's one of the dinosaurs. There were these two competing archaeologists, and one wanted to find a different species, but he only managed to find a head, but no body. So he just attached the head to another dinosaur's body.
Yeah.
And now it's crazy how that's pushed out. And there's this museum in, I think, Houston. I think this was, years and years ago when I looked it up. But the Loch Ness Monster, or here in America, what do we have? Ogopogo.
I think so.
Is that what it is? But anyway, there was a guy, I think it was in the late 80s. He found it was a washed up baby carcass of one of those that washed up on the shore, and then a creation, creationist museum. They ended up getting it, and they ended up mounting it, and supposedly it's on display there.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's all I got.
I think that one of the craziest rabbit holes I went down, especially with like the dinosaur stuff, is that they try to cover up the existence of like Nephilim giants by
in the bones,
building
by the structures,
taking the bones and putting them into
that's
dinosaur
exactly
shapes.
What I was going to get into. Yes.
Yeah, that is absolutely nuts. Because like, imagine how many giants were actually found that were just like put into the shapes of dinosaurs. And like you take into account like the spines, because like there are bones, but like if you take into account like the spines and like put it in a perspective of like what a human spine looks like, And you look at like these massive things, like how big were these people? Like obviously pretty humongous, especially like when you get into like the numbers 13. When
Talks
you
about the biggest trees of Lebanon.
The Anunnaki giants.
Anunnaki,
those.
They were in the land of Canaan when God told the Israelites to go and investigate Canaan, and these Israelites looked up and they reported back that these giants were so big that it made them look like grasshoppers. And like when you put into perspective like the dinosaur like human bone theory, whatever, it's pretty insane what you'll find. And like the mountain ranges of like that look like faces and that look like bodies and stuff laying out. It's so crazy. And one of like the biggest things that got me so much hate was like even the giant tree theory was like me talking about how like the like in Arizona, for instance, like the sculptures like or like the big like formations that you see, like these big tree stumps. These big like stump looking things, they're trees. And it's crazy.
Have you seen the one video of the guy? He was over there, but he was like, dude, this ain't freaking dirt. This is petrified wood. And he's taking chunks off this giant mesa. And he's like, this is petrified wood. I know what I'm talking about.
And also like the in Arizona specifically, there was a sculpture that, or not sculpture, there was like a formation that looked like a human body. And when you took a side-by-side comparison of like meat next to like the rocks that he found, it looked like petrified meat, like petrified like flesh.
Like like bacon. You see them cutting it up, it looks like meat.
Yes.
Yeah, the rock looks like insane. Meat, dude. It looks like that. Yeah, cut me up a slab of bacon on that.
And I want to eat one of the meat rocks.
Yeah, they were they were doing this one thing I was watching. Okay, what's that movie? Moana?
Yeah.
Where that tall, fallen angel freaking just went down and laid down again. And they were comparing all these other
They always tell you what they do. They always tell you what's real too. And so it's like, okay, well, that's not really so far-fetched when we know that there were Nephilim that walk the earth, and also like multiple different breeds of Nephilim that walk the earth. So a volcano giant looking thing, I could totally be on board with that. Or like just the Tahiti, like being like this goddess, I could totally see too, because I mean, we're finding examples all over the world of like these beings being so large that it's like when you see these movies of, stuff like that being their reality, that it's not as far-fetched as what they're making it look like.
Yeah, for real. And what's a trip too is that, okay, oh my God, if you start reading Gary Wayne's book, whenever you like Zook said, you're going to start to see the ties into Hercules and all like these demigods and stuff and all that. And it's very fascinating. And what really blew my mind was I didn't realize it at the time, but I'm like, it's kind of funny though, because when you read Genesis 6, you just kind of just like skip over it. Like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. But
I feel like it's made to be looked over. I feel like Enoch was like specifically left out of Canaan to make it be something that you could just skip over.
Yeah. And to me, it was the way he talks about it. It's a whole like DNA war, right? Ever since you go back to the fall with Adam and Eve and all that, how when God says to Satan or to Anunnaki or whatever, I'm going to send someone that's going to strike the heel, that's going to strike your head and bruise his heel. Well, of course, he's talking about Jesus, right? Well, ever since then, he didn't realize, okay, there's something coming. I don't know what it is, but there's something coming to destroy me. So I'm going to do whatever I can to destroy God's creation. So, all that stuff. So needless to say, he tried to jack up the whole human DNA that, God created. So by the time this being would come, it wouldn't be fully human. You know what I'm saying? The DNA would be mixed up, and it basically, Jesus wouldn't be able to cast that check for us, freedom. So anyways, I thought that was pretty interesting. But
it's totally, I love talking about this stuff so much.
Yeah. So Okay, so back to Nephilim. Do you think they're alive today?
Oh yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, like I don't know how many videos you've done on like Nephilim and whatnots, but one of the biggest rabbit holes I've been down over the past couple months was the Antarctic Treaty, as well as the oh gosh, the it starts with the G, the Greada Treaty as well.
Okay.
With Eisenhower. So have you guys heard about the Greada Treaty?
President Eisenhower, when he made a pact with aliens?
Yes. So that's like a sneak peek into like my next video that I'm going to be making. But I went down quite a rabbit trail. And so basically, for those of you who don't know what the Greada Treaty is, it was in February of 1954. President Eisenhower went to I believe it was an Air Force base, to sign a diplomatic treaty with Nephilim, or aliens, or whatever you want to call them, basically allowing them access to national parks and state parks, and that the government would regulate access to people coming to them so that they could create underground bases there, to perform experiments on us, and to basically in return to give the US government and the world essentially access to high tech. So Eisenhower accepted this, and I believe Eisenhower was a Freemason. Either that, or he was definitely a Freemason. I always get him mixed up with Roosevelt, who was Skull and Bones, but Eisenhower was a Freemason, and he is obviously one of the bloodlines that is trying to usher in the Antichrist. So of course Eisenhower made this pact with these beings, and they ended up creating different bases around the United States. And I also, like, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say they probably have similar treaties around the world where they have created bases as well. But like one of those bases would be the Grand Canyon. In my opinion, there's some crazy rabbit trails to go down there, but the basic goal was to create a society where they could manipulate DNA without telling the public first. So you're seeing now, they're just now starting to tell you this, but this has been around for decades, where they are able to manipulate the human embryo to basically create a designer baby with CRISPR technology. They are able to clone dogs. They are able to clone like different animals as well. It wouldn't be so far-fetched to say that they are also cloning human beings as we speak. But you have like the Elon Musk brain chip idea, where if you take this brain chip, you will immediately be able to cure cancer. You'll be able to cure Huntington's disease, Alzheimer's, dementia, all of these different
transhumanism.
Yeah, basically. And they're wanting to patent this as a good thing for society, even though we know that it's just a sign of the times, literally. But I think that the interesting thing about Eisenhower's experience with these beings was the description of them. And so they were known as they're known as Nordics, or the tall white aliens, where they look like human beings, but they're blonde, blue-eyed, very, very slender and tall. And I thought that description was really interesting because just a few weeks before even researching the Greada Treaty, I was on the rabbit hole of the Antarctic Treaty, where Admiral Byrd.
Yes, we did an episode on that. Yes.
Oh, it's such a good rabbit hole to go down. But basically, to give a brief synopsis, since you guys made a video on it, he met the tall whites, the Nordics. He was met by them. Yes, the master. Yeah. And these beings were tall whites. So even before Eisenhower's treaty that he made with them, Admiral Byrd saw the exact same type of beings that had taken control of his plane, landed it safely and whatnot. And so these are coming from, classified documents from people in the government. So it's not like these people didn't have credibility. Why would an admiral of the U.S. government decide to lie about something so like outlandishly crazy to the public if it wasn't true? Yeah. And why is it that he mysteriously passed away, and the FBI and CIA seized all of his documents except for his diary, which a family member of his had been able to seize? Yeah, I believe it was his son.
Yeah, it was his son.
Yeah,
it was his son.
And he had eventually leaked his diary to the public. And then a year after his death, the Antarctic Treaty was formed. And a year after the Antarctic Treaty was formed, NASA was formed. And now we have no access, no clearance, except for maybe a small little smidget of Antarctica where we can, take a glance at from a distance, but we can't. It's like a look but don't touch kind of thing. And only the highest levels of security can even touch the grounds of Antarctica. And I think it's interesting that Tom Hanks was one of those people that was granted access to Antarctica. He's been there. But it's really, really interesting to see where, the classified documents become unclassified. But I like to always make it apparent to people that these beings are not from outer space. They're interdimensional. They're not. There's no such thing as space. We live in a firmament, for one. They're not from space. And these flying saucers that they're on were created years ago by Nikola Tesla around the same time. They started becoming a thing, flying saucers, in the 50s. They were all patented Navy documents, from Nikola Tesla creating these designs. And, after Nikola Tesla died, the FBI and CIA ended up seizing all of these documents. And I think it's really interesting that even with Trump later on, one of his things was he was promising that he was going to declassify the alien documents when his uncle had also been a part of the seize of Nikola Tesla's belongings. And Trump's uncle had actually owned Nikola Tesla's personal belongings as well. And he just happened to be the first maker of the patent of the world's first flying saucer. So there's a deep rabbit hole with even Trump in there too. And his family's connections with, I guess, aliens or Nephilim, whatever you want to call them. Sometimes it's easier just to say aliens because we know it is Nephilim, but they're just a sect of Nephilim. They're just a subspecies. But yeah, I definitely do believe that these creatures walk among us. And I do believe that the government might try to fake an alien invasion, but we know that these, flying saucers are man-made. I don't believe in Project Bluebeam personally after finding all of this information out about these flying saucers being Nikola Tesla inventions, because if they have the real thing and they have real Nephilim, why try to use holograms for extra pizzazz? I don't think that it will be. There's enough Nephilim around, and also 1/3 of the fallen angels. They're here walking the earth today. So if 1/3 of the angelic population from heaven came down to earth, how quickly do you think that they could populate Nephilim? Probably pretty quickly. Especially with the alien abductions and the child breeding farms that are around the United States today and around the world, and all this child trafficking. The manipulation of DNA is very easily accessible to the evil ones. And ultimately, we are getting to the time where these sightings of Nephilim are steaming up in the news, and people are kind of being awakened spiritually that we might not be alone here on earth. It's literally what Revelation says, where we are going to be living like the days of Noah, and we're very, very close to that, especially once we get to 2030, which I believe is when the New World Order will become a full thing, just like in their agenda that was leaked a while ago. But I definitely believe that these creatures are here. They walk among us today. People are seeing them. What they're seeing is real and they're consistent. It's not just like people are, reporting completely different things from another person. They're all seeing the same things. They're all reporting almost identical descriptions of these beings that they're seeing. So now I'm just like, okay, well, when is the Leviathan gonna come? Like, when are we gonna start seeing like dragons and whatnot? Because that's gonna really like.
Well, in a way, it's kind of
sure.
in a way, it's kind of funny you said that. You know how basically how Hollywood does it, how Disney does it. They throw it in your face, right? What's going to happen or what already happened. Well, Godzilla.
That's what I was literally thinking. Yes,
Godzilla. Yeah,
I was just telling my grandpa about this. They were visiting. I was like talking about how I believe that Godzilla is like an accurate representation of what a Leviathan looks like.
Yeah.
Because like, how would people come up with these things in their mind unless they've seen it?
Oh yeah, that's 100%. And not only that too, it goes back. It reminds me of oh gosh, Dr. von Braun, the guy who headed NASA, right? The ex-German Nazi. Well, like basically when they're talking to him, they're like, okay, so how'd you come up with all this stuff? And he's like, well, I got it from them. And he's talking about fallen angels and stuff like that. So no one's like sitting on their toilet eating a Pop-Tart like, oh, I got an idea. That's not how it works.
No,
it's not how it works. You got to be shown this. Yeah,
I think
and what's funny
with the Big Bang.
Yeah, and
that was a great visual.
Yeah, I know, right? And what's a trip though is when you said all these fallen angels, Nephilim on this earth and whatnot, reptilians, Anunnaki, and all that. We are living in the last days. I know that. I got and just all these things that are happening biblically. Like the whole oh gosh. Like the Euphrates River drying up, right? That's happening too. And, with all these UFO sightings and all that, it reminds me of Luke 21:26, where it says, men's hearts will fail them of the things that are coming on the earth. You know what I mean? And, and you start to really see people who are diehard in their faith and who aren't. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And, just to me, when it starts kicking up a notch and kicking up more, you're going to start really seeing people fall out of the faith and getting astray. And you perfectly seen it when COVID hit, when they were forcing people, to take the jab or whatnot. And it's exciting, but it's awesome seeing the Bible play out. But it brings me joy because I know that as this goes on, Jesus is coming near. So anyways,
at this point I feel like I'm a part of like the Mission Impossible series. It's like this like all of this new information is coming out, and I feel like as Christians we're on this like mission to save the world. And also like knowing that we are on like a timeline at this point, like things are starting to happen, knowing that we're actually living in these last days is kind of awesome in a way. It's like and also like all of us here today, we were put on earth for a specific purpose. And I was thinking about it today, like God made me the mom of my son for a reason. And it's like, what will my son like, what will I like, because obviously I give my son like full-heartedly to the Lord, but it's like, what will me dedicating Jack's life, who's my son, to the Lord, what will he become? Like, what will he accomplish for
what he be doing
for the kingdom? Like, what will he like ultimately do? And I mean, I believe in my heart that great things are destined for him, and that he is here for a purpose, and it's not just to be a victim of the Antichrist. I believe that every single person is here for the call to action. We are the call to action. And I think sitting here and having these conversations is putting that action into play. And by allowing just the things that we say from our hearts that are dedicated to the Lord, I believe that we are like continuously opening the eyes of the blind and on a mission to really just, get people to heaven, literally get people walking on that narrow path and helping them stay on that narrow path as well.
Yeah, 100% agree. And, to me, it's gosh, like you said, it's like a hostage rescue. That's what it is.
Oh yeah.
Just to spread the truth, tell people about Jesus, and yeah, that's it. Just tell every living creature about Jesus, and that's if they take it, they take it. They don't. But it's our job, to spread that word. So yeah,
absolutely,
it's good stuff.
Absolutely.
Zook, you all right?
Oh yeah, I was just waiting my turn.
You're just like.
I want to be a gentleman. Well, it's interesting. Like in all these other places around the world, and too, like I went on a mission trip to El Salvador twice, and when you pray, you actually see miracles take place there. I mean, it's awesome. I know miracles happen all the time, but I don't know what it is about America itself. But all these incredible, amazing things, like people who could not walk, they're able to walk. Even the blind can see, and this is stuff that you don't hear about. Of course, they have the media fear porn and sucking you in, and it's so crazy if somebody does a little digging, like how that can really change their perspectives, their minds, their hearts, and then eventually their spirit, and kind of focus them toward Christ. And I don't know, it's
because Jesus changes our DNA. It like quite literally changes the way that we think. I mean, I think that it's like medically proven that when there was like a study that I was reading of an atheist's brain compared to a Christian's brain, and the brain makeup was drastically different from the Christian and the atheist. You could see that the atheist's brain was more like scrunched up due to stress, and the Christian's brain was like flowing with like life. Yeah, with like life. And I think that in a way, Satan knows that Jesus changes our DNA for the good, to having a heart and a mind and a soul living for the Lord. He knows this, and he can't create his own anything. So all he can do is replicate it and darken it. So he knows that by allowing this fear to take over, allowing all of this confusion to take over, especially in America. I believe that America is a very dark country, especially with its formation and who was behind the making of it. And I really do believe that America is the great Satan. And a lot of people have really hated on me for that. But I really do believe that America is the great Satan, because
I agree with you 100%.
Since then, I mean,
I definitely agree.
Yeah, and we're the only country so far too that like hasn't collapsed. And I believe that the collapse of America will be the New World Order for sure.
Yeah, I agree 100%, because when you think about, okay, America's number one on child sex trafficking, number one on drugs, number one on sending out pornography, number one on creating these trends, trying to westernize everyone, the Great Babylon, all that stuff. And yeah, I 100% agree with you. And I'm sorry, but I swore an oath too as an ex law enforcement officer. But for all the military guys and my buddies and stuff, I love you guys. But it just sucks that thinking that, damn, we were actually the bad guys this whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's one thing that I made. I get myself in trouble a lot by saying things that I genuinely do believe to be true. And one of the things is the military and law enforcement. All of the good law enforcement now in America they've either quit or they've been fired because of COVID or BLM.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. And then you have the military. And in my mind, like I see the military as basically the Hunger Games. I see our like top officials sending innocent men and women to war to die, just to die for them to have a little bit more money. And
think about this too. Think about this too. I just thought just think about, okay, we'll go back to what you said, but think about this. Okay?
Yeah.
A lot of these high officials, these politicians and stuff, Freemasons, whatever, Illuminati, Satanists, correct? They need sacrifices. Sometimes you need an abundance of sacrifices. So to me, it's like a big psyop, a big push, and
it's a blood ritual, basically.
Exactly, a big blood ritual. Yeah, and
through each blood ritual, the Antichrist spirit is made even more powerful, because
or certain country gains more power. How many wars are we always in? We're always in
exactly.
You know,
Something. We're
Anyways,
always
go
in
ahead.
something. Oh, no
Yeah.
worries. Yeah, it's interesting just how much bloodshed like always needs to take place for there to be success, and everybody is supposed to just support that. Like, you're sending your children to war to die, and you're happy about that, and you take pride that your child is going to war. That, and you're basically left with a flag at the end of it. You don't have your child anymore. And especially, even if they do come back alive, they're no longer the same person because they've seen things and done things that no man or woman should ever have to do. And that is to kill another person. And that changes your DNA. Killing somebody changes your DNA. And if you get into like the line of Cain and Abel, if you look at the line of Cain and see, where the Antichrist spirit is constantly moving through, it's Cain. And what did Cain first do? He killed. And that changes everything. Yes, it changes your entire self, killing somebody. And then the having to live with the fact that you killed people. I can't even imagine the average soldier who's in the front lines, how many people they kill on average, have to kill on average. And it's just like the fact that people support this and show pride in it and throw celebrations for it. It's disgusting. It makes me feel sick to my stomach thinking about celebrating somebody getting blown up, getting their limbs torn apart, getting tortured, if they're taken hostage. This is not something to take pride in. War is not something to take pride in. And so many people who say that they're Christians, they believe in fighting these endless wars, but God tells us to be peaceful. Like, we're supposed to be peaceful. Yeah. So where does your morality line draw? Because my morality line is drawn at war. I won't do it. I am a peaceful person, and sure, if somebody's attacking me, I'll defend myself, but like purposely going when you know that your country is not the good guy, and then supporting the fact that your country is not the good guy, and allowing your children and your friends and other family members to be killed in the process is not something that I can ever back. And I guess it's the same for law enforcement and in a lot of ways too, because like I said before, law enforcement that were good are now gone. And so what are we left with now? We're left with the people who are going to enforce masks, who are going to enforce these jobs, who are going to enforce the New World Order, who are going to enforce FEMA onto us. And we're going to become just a military state in essence, and that's not something I can support either. And so by making these making these videos saying these, I believe to be, backed by the Bible, especially with prophecy, you get a lot of hate for it. You get a lot of people saying in the comments, oh, I'm going to unfollow you, or this is nonsense, you're crazy, whatnots. And it's like, this isn't why we do what we do. We're not doing this for views. We're not doing this for the follows. Like, I don't care if every single person on earth unfollows me except for one person who decides that they're going to dedicate their life to the Lord because they find that everything in this world is inconsistent and the only consistency is Jesus. That's all I care about. Just that one person, and praying to God that I can continue to get one more after that. And it's just, it's something that you have to really be ready for, especially, I mean, we're going to be targets for the Antichrist, especially for the biblical truths that we believe, and constantly, surrendering our lives to what God's will is. And that's just something that, isn't necessarily pleasant, but we need to keep spreading this news to people who don't know, because I mean, this is a battle for souls. This isn't a battle for likes and views.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as time goes on, it's not going to get any easier. A lot of people, they're kind of waiting for like the. Oh, hold on, sorry, Drew was booted out.
I'm back.
A lot of.
Okay,
a lot of people are going to wait, or they're trying to wait for the perfect opportunity. And I'm like, dude, every day is an opportunity.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's not lives at stake. You're right. It's 100%. It's souls.
Mm-hmm.
It's really stinky. And especially once again, like back to COVID, it's so wild where I didn't really have any personal friends that did this, but there were so many people because our church shrunk quite a bit. And after people were allowed to go back to the church and stuff. And it was just so crazy. Like people just gave up their faith after COVID. I can only imagine what's going to happen when persecution, not Facebook persecution, where people just disagree with you or make fun of
But
you.
real persecution.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, because in other countries,
Yeah.
I mean, where you're threatened to have your child like killed if you don't, accept whatever other god,
Yeah. Well,
lowercase g.
yeah. Well, example, I was talking to Zook, like one of my friends in India. Her name is Jaya, and she lives in Hyderabad in that area, like central south of India. But they're actually Muslims are tracking women down, looking at their phones, and if they have a Bible app on them, they're tearing their clothes off, they're raping them, and they're killing them, and they're killing their families. And it's and they're burning down their churches. Like she sent me a video of her pastor getting killed as she was running. It's just like America, like westernized Christianity, has no idea what's coming.
Oh yeah, and it's gonna hit us like a train.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, good stuff though. But hey, it's all good because in the end, Jesus wins anyway. But during that time, though, it is gonna suck.
Yeah. But then there's also the underground church, and there are going to be ways, like people like us, we're going to band together. We're going to have to band together. And it's going to come to the point where either we're going to be like forced to all join physically together to keep each other safe. And I believe that, not all of us are doomed, not all of us are doomed to have this awful, terrible death. There are ways that we can be prepared. There are ways that, we can join together and live as a community, in essence, whatever we need to do. But there's always the hope too that, Jesus is coming, and he's coming very soon. And even though like we may experience, hardship in this lifetime, it's nothing compared to the joy and the happiness and the beautiful things that we can see in the next lifetime that will even, matter for a second. We'll forget about it once we get to heaven.
And that's the thing about Satan, is that he knows that's what makes us dangerous.
Yeah.
He knows that's what makes the more persecution we get on us, the more that our faith builds, the more that our love builds towards Jesus. It cancels it out, and he knows that.
Absolutely. And so he uses the fear, and he uses the hurt and the pain to fuel people towards, accepting this mark of the beast and accepting Satan to be, the Antichrist to be Lord. But for people like us, especially people like us, reminding people that, sure, like it's written, we're going to suffer, but that's nothing compared to what's going to happen to them in the end. They're going to get it way worse. So like, what side do you want to be on in the end? Because I definitely want to be on the winning team.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it was funny since you said that about go ahead, Zook. Sorry. About like the elites and stuff like that. It reminds me of oh gosh, what was that?
It is wild for some of these.
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
And I've heard of several stories of people like going to hell. Like I think there was a book a guy wrote who's now definitely now a Christian.
John
The
Ramirez?
Minutes in Hell or something like that.
Oh no, I was talking about John Ramirez. I know you're talking about.
John Ramirez. But I watched him like just sharing this at a church, and then I looked at his book, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty wild. But I know it's going to be far beyond the concept of any kind of evil and everything, because it's a complete separation from you. And it was just scary to really think about. I know some people have been close, because I had this girl and ages ago, and she was the New Age movement, stuff like that. And there was even kind of like a wake-up call. She had a dream, and I believe it was a spiritual dream, where she was actually pulled to hell. She described it. She said, just imagine the worst depression anybody can go through, and then times that 10 times another 10, and then keep going on. And it's so crazy to think how long eternity is down there, because somebody this once they're like, imagine every piece of sand on planet, and as soon as you get to the last grain of sand and it's gone, that's only one mile. But still, imagine having to do that like day. I'm like, and
it's never gonna get
some of
better.
these government experiments and stuff. It's not, because I do think about, my loved ones and just in general, people like in God's image, how they just turn their back. I know we live in a messed up world that's distracting everybody they can from Christ, which is demonically influenced, and then people will kind of even fight against us.
Yeah.
And
Well, the thing is,
it's
yeah,
sticky. Right?
you're absolutely right. Is like you said, Zook, and like she said too, we only have, God, our pastor says this a lot. We only got one shot in this life. One shot. That's it. We got one, and every person you come up on, coffee shop, the grocery store, wherever, they're either going to one or two places. That's it. And you got one shot, and you got this mouth that God gave you to talk, and the heart and the wisdom to do it. And it's just, yeah, that's what really just kind of keeps me up at night. Is like, you know what, dude, you only got one shot in this life. You got to live every day like basically, like it was your last. And I thank you, Jillian, for making those videos, man, because God's giving you a platform to, even though you're not preaching at a church, you're preaching to the world one way or another. You're doing that. So I just want to say
thank you. Yeah,
kudos
I
to you,
love it.
buddy.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It's, I mean, it's really given me new purpose, and I will continue to keep making, these videos. And I'm going to be launching a new podcast here soon with a friend of mine. So getting that started, maybe we could do like a collab there too. But I started doing one about a year ago. I stopped doing it after I found out I was pregnant. But like I said, I'm getting back into journalism full throttle. I'm so excited to just jump back into everything after just taking some time to myself, just to keep my health good and to stay focused on the word. And now I'm ready to go full force into battling for souls for the kingdom of heaven. And it's just been such a ride, and I can't wait for the next chapter to start, for sure.
That's awesome, man.
That's awesome.
Cool stuff. Hey, definitely though, whenever you get your podcast kicked up, I'm gonna send you Gary Wayne and Josh Monday. I think you'll have a hell of a time with them talking.
Great, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. So, Zook, you got anything else, buddy?
Man, I feel like we need to do it. Yeah, around like.
I agree. That's good stuff.
I wasn't prepared for I was prepared, but there were so many topics that we covered, but it was like lightly, and but so much of this stuff, I'm like, oh man, it's fun. But and after we're done with this, I want to we'll just chat for another few minutes if you have time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, it's crazy what's going on in this world. A lot of evil is hidden in plain sight.
Oh yeah.
But Christians, but that's all I got for right now.
I agree. Well, cool. I guess we're pretty close to wrapping it up. Okay, so let's talk about your conference and where people can find you at.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll start off with the conference. It's this November, the 2nd through the 4th, and it's in Phoenix, Arizona. And it's catered towards women, but men can join too if you want to. It's called the Rooted Conference. I'm going to be in a panel there. I'm going to be there for VIPs too, which is the 1st to the 4th. So I'm going to be there through everything, and we'll be on the panel there, and it'll be really, really exciting. So if you want to get tickets, you could go to therootedtruth.com/retreat, and you can get your tickets there. And if you guys want to follow me on my journey towards finding God's truth, you can visit my Instagram at Jillian Stone, as well as my TikTok at Jillian Stone. And if you want to find my podcast, it's called the Alabaster Podcast, and it's on Spotify. And I'm working on getting more streaming outlets going for season 2. But yeah, that's where you can find me, and I hope to see you guys there.
Awesome.
Right. Onski, yeah, we'll definitely. I'll have Zook plug all in our show notes. Like people can just find you with the one click. So Zook is the editing master. So
awesome.
You're yelling, ain't it? Other than that, I since this is kind of a cryptid conspiracy Christian podcast, I'm gonna ask you what I ask everybody else. Since you're a Bigfoot, liker in that in our area, enthusiast, we hunt Bigfoot too. So, what do you think Bigfoot is? There's no right or wrong answer to it.
Oh, I absolutely think that Bigfoot is a subspecies of Nephilim. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
That was the quickest, shortest answer I've gotten, and that was the most solid
That was-
Yeah,
I've gotten.
easy,
Awesome.
easy answer. Easy.
She's
Super
like,
easy
I've been waiting
answer
for this
me.
all day, guys. Bam, got
All
it.
my life. Bring it on.
Oh yeah, definitely subspecies of Nephilim. I have always wanted to see one. Maybe I will in this lifetime if God allows me to. But I don't even know what would prepare me to see a Bigfoot. I think that I might pee my pants. That would be an insane experience for sure. But I do hope to see one day, and I do hope to do an actual Bigfoot excursion, especially around like Washington State. I definitely want to go back to my hometown and see where I can, connect with the tribes there. There's a ton of Indian tribes in Washington State, and so connecting with them and being like, "Okay, where's the hot spots at?" Because I'm ready. I'm ready if you are. But
I think you would have some good. I think you will have some better luck than we do because we go out deep in the woods. And anyways, but they're more interested in females than they are men because they know men bring destruction.
Oh yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you go out there just
Grenade
singing,
launchers
doing
and
your
everything.
thing, they'll probably be seeing like what you're about. So good
Yes.
stuff.
Yes. Cross my fingers. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So, all right. Zook, you got anything else, man?
No, that's it. That was like the icing on the cake, the way to end it. Seriously, that was the best answer ever.
All right.
And then it landed to this, like, oh, let's go hunting. Speaking of which, we're long overdue, but we have December right around the corner. So
yeah we do. We're going. You ever heard of? I don't think you have.
Turtle Man.
Well, you're young. You're young, but I'll ask
Turtle
you,
Man?
Yeah, Turtle Man. You ever? Yeah.
Like the
Woo! Live action. Woo!
I never knew him, but like I met him at a
Yes, I
conference.
know.
But I never met him
used
before.
to-
But he did it.
Yeah.
I used to watch his show
hang out
like
with
every
him.
time. Me and my
Oh,
I was
sweet.
probably-
Okay,
I was
cool.
like maybe in 3rd grade when it was around, but I would always go to school and me and my friends would always go yee at each
That
other.
is awesome.
And our teachers would be like,
Yeah.
do we need to send them to like special ed or what? But,
That's funny.
those were some good days for sure. We love Turtle Man.
I am gonna send you a video because Zook and I actually got to hang out with him all day, and now I actually got his number. Matter of fact, him and I were talking yesterday, texting because we're trying to schedule a Bigfoot hunt in Kentucky in December with my team and his team.
That is the coolest. You have to tell me how that
But
goes.
I'm just saying, yeah. So if we do it again next time, you and your husband are more welcome to come. So
I don't know if my husband would come with me. He is, he thinks I'm a crazy person, but I would definitely go. So
you know what?
I can bring my mom.
I love to bring skeptics. I love to bring skeptics because everybody's all gangster until dark hits, and they're like, "Oh gosh," you know what I mean?
I've never been, but I would love to go. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. Definitely bring your running shoes for sure. So
that'd be awesome.
Well, all right, Jillian, we appreciate you. God love you, and congratulations on the baby. Prayers to you and your family.
Thank
you guys be
you.
safe. And dude, you are awesome. We definitely got to have you on for a round 2 for sure. And
absolutely.
Yeah, just appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us. So
yeah, well, thank you guys so much for having me on.
That's all I got.
For sure. And all right, everybody. Till next time. We'll see ya. Bye.
All right, guys. Remember, we're not wrestling.